And now, at 5'4", starting at point guard, it's Boiler Down. And at 5'6", weighing in at 125 pounds, LBD.
Why?
Didn't see that intro coming, did you?
It's really loud.
It's really loud.
Right in my ear. Thank you.
Yeah, you enjoyed it.
So now we actually have sound this time.
We actually do have sound. I have monitors to double check that we have sound. This is the third take of the new live stream concept. It's only the second take with you and I together.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to do this. Hopefully we'll sound even better. We'll see.
Yep.
We'll see. But it's been a fun season so far. We talked about this last time in silence. It's been a fun season so far, up and down like we thought it'd be. A lot of freshmen playing, so that's going to happen. But are there any surprises for you so far?
I was just surprised that Edie has scored so well. Like at the start of the season, scoring off the bat with a 20-point game, right? That was
and he missed one shot that game too, right? Was he 9 for 10 or something along those lines? 7 for 8.
I think he's in like the top 5 in the NCAA for field goal percentage, right?
Even still, and that's the thing. The last couple games he's fallen off, of course.
Yeah.
The physical nature of how he's being played isn't surprising at all, but I think he'll get better as he learns to deal with the officiating, the brand of play, the fact that there are guys that are as strong as him on the court. I mean, it's easy to play was it Liberty they were playing the first
Liberty.
game with 6'7", 6'8" type of guys, and now he's playing guys that are 6'10" to 7 feet, and they're being instructed just to go beat on him, and so he's having, if you watch him away from the ball, he's doing a really good job getting position. I think that's maybe his best skill so far, but he's not finishing as strong at the basket. I think he's trying to figure out how to be strong in his positioning and not draw the flagrant fouls, right? And in the kind of feeling out game he's going through, he's losing some of his oomph there because he's trying to keep his elbows down, keep him in check. Any other surprise other than Edie? I agree. I think that's the biggest surprise. Anything else?
I mean, not really that surprising, but Newman looks really good. Gillis is back after like 1,000 days at the start of the season. He hadn't played.
The thing that surprised me both Gillis and Newman is since they were both redshirted, it's kind of hard to believe how impactful they are to me.
Yep.
And we heard all these rumors about why they weren't playing. I mean, I don't doubt it was a good decision to redshirt either of them, and especially since last year was kind of the season that never was. But at the same time, I mean, would they have made a difference in 4 or 5 games? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, that team last year seemed to not have a lot of things this year's team had, meaning the cohesiveness and the kind of the ability to play together, which is one of the things I like best. Let me before we go any further, I want to mention our sponsors. I want to mention MortonVintage.com. They've got the Old Oaken Bucket T-shirt honoring the game that we can't go to, couldn't watch this year. Nice looking shirt, great looking shirt actually. It's that soft. I think it's a blend shirt. But if you like Martin Vintage stuff, you won't be disappointed here. Next up, of course, eatajs.com. If you're in town, I know nobody's there other than the people that actually live in Lafayette. Maybe there are a couple people just subletting or whatever, staying away from family. But if you're in God's country, eatajs.com, order online. You can also still dine in. I think they're open. And finally, Gridiron Metalworks, who they just make fantastic stuff. High tech laser. They're laser cutting things. Their stuff's awesome. I mean, we use Gridiron Metalworks, great, of course, or Grill Great, and I can tell you everything's delicious. Come on, I'm pretty good. I know what I'm doing.
It's almost like he cooks the food, so.
Yeah. So I'm a little biased too, but GridironMetalworks.com. They're great. They're great. G-R-A-T-E.
That's a bad pun.
Anyway, so in case you don't know, LBD is a freshman at Fishers High School. He's a cross-country runner. He's going to run track, but big Boiler fan anyway, and been effectively brainwashed by myself and your grandpa and your uncles, and I don't know if your mom even is responsible, but I apologize over and over for the world of hell you have to live in. But let's talk a bit about the thing we were going to talk about, which is the starting five right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at this group, there's some obvious guys that jump out right away. And ironically, one of the most obvious starters is a guy who didn't start for a couple games. And maybe he's the most obvious starter right now. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
Who is that guy?
Travian Williams. He's been playing so well the last couple games. He's averaging 14 points and just under 10 rebounds a game. He looks like an all-conference type of player. A couple games ago, he had nearly his career high in points.
He played like he did versus the Michigan game last year.
Where he got 36 and 20.
That was ridiculous. And I think he'll do it again this year. I think
he could get a triple-double this year in assists. And
well, I mean,
that would be nice.
So right now he is averaging 14.9.8, as you just said, I believe.
Yep.
But that 9.8, I mean, I think he'll be averaging 10 boards.
Hopefully.
And the big thing is when that guy sets his jaw, when he is serious, there are very few people that can stop him.
Yep.
You know, he looks like a different guy. I noticed it like 2 games ago when he came off the bench. He was driving left to right. Remember that fast break?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that looks like a different person.
Yeah.
He's leaner. He's faster. He looks very good. When he's not being too cute, although his control is pretty awesome. I call him the dancing berries, a little bit like.
Fun fact, he runs a 5:39 mile.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing, especially for a guy who came out onto campus as a bigger gentleman, right? Next, the other guy that, of course, should be starting, Eric Hunter. He's played great this year. He's doing about everything well, but he looks like he's getting into rhythm after the injury. He's starting to play like we think he's capable of.
Yep.
He's averaging 14 points, nearly 4 assists a game. He's had a little bit of problem turning the ball over from time to time.
Yeah.
The thing I really like watching him is and I feel like we're reviewing ourselves since we already did this, but his ability to defend the passing lanes is huge.
Yeah.
It changes the game up top for the other guards. It makes it harder for everybody. He's just been very, very good.
Last game, he held Notre Dame's leading scorer, who was averaging 19 points per game, I think, to no points.
Yeah, and he was guarding him most of the game, too. They threw other guys at him, but it was Hunter more than anybody else. So that's a big deal. The third really obvious starter, of course, is Sasha. Sasha is he's playing great. The biggest thing, of course, is his three-point shooting, which 52% on the season. He's lighting it up flat out. He's hitting just as many on the road. I think he was averaging 51% on the road.
Yeah, and that counts neutral courts too.
Yep. But 52% on the season is excellent. And then, he is, where am I finding this? He's been super consistent. He's making all the difficult plays on defense. He makes excellent passes too. He's probably the best entry passer on the team, getting the ball to Edie or Trey. 12.5 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists a game. I don't think anybody would argue with those 3. It gets a little harder with the other 2, obviously. And these are the guys that I'd said, okay, at different times this year, you had Edie start just to probably give Trey a shot in the arm, and it worked. But you have Edie, you've had Wheeler start, and Jaden Ivey, I think, deserves a look because he's starting to play like he's touted, right? What do you like about Ivey when you watch him play?
Well, Ivy's a good athlete. He just looks like a good player out of high school.
Good build, right
build.
away. I mean, this is the thing. These guys, it's pretty neat to see a guy come in as a true freshman and be put together like that. He can take contact. He's more of a scorer, and some of the players have said this too. More of a scorer than a shooter, obviously. Can create.
Yeah,
really good at finishing.
We've seen flashes of that during the last couple games.
Yeah, and he's doing better at absorbing contact. I think he's going to get better and better as it's again, Hunter and he both having to deal with the injuries. It's hurt their growth a little bit. It's hurt their season, but I think it's a really good thing for the team because a bunch of different guys got to play. Yep. So when you look at these other 2 guys, my next guy, of course, Brandon Newman. Newman is averaging 9 points, 3 boards, and 2 assists. Yep. And the thing that I like about him, I think he's just stone cold, right? He wants to take big shots. It is clear he's got a deadpan look on his face all the time. He is a scorer. He's got a little. He's got some moxie about him, right? He wants to take the shot, and he takes good shots, and he can create.
That
well-rounded player.
That redshirt year did a lot of good for him. It sounds like
it seems like it did, but like we said in the first take of this, who knows how much of a difference he would have made last year. Because, man, I watched him play in high school. This looks like the same guy that was in high school. He's really, really a solid player. Finally, so the fifth player in this starting five, this is the one that's under contention for a lot of people, right? We saw Wheeler starting earlier in the season, but I think it's very clear Mason Gillis should be starting right now.
Yep.
Gillis is Freshman Player of the Week this week, and he is always around the ball, right?
Yep. Hardworking like a rich man's Grady Eifert.
Rich man's Grady. I think Grady Eifert, by the time he graduated, right now, if you had Grady Eifert and Gillis play one-on-one, I think Gillis would struggle with Eifert.
Yeah.
Because of the man strength, right? Eifert's a big dude, big, strong guy. Gillis is a big, strong guy, but Gillis, I think, is 2-3 inches shorter than Eifert. I wouldn't think that Eifert would run any part of Gillis, maybe at the end of the season or next year, though. I think Gillis is so much more skilled than Eifert.
Yeah, lots of upside.
Yeah, his upside's much bigger. So what I'm saying is I'm not taking anything away from Eifert, but I think that the comparison is fair because Gillis scraps for the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He frustrates the hell out of the defense. He's very good on the glass. He attacks the glass.
Last game, almost getting double-double.
Yeah, that was awesome. And he's starting to shoot the three well. Painter said this in his weekly conference. He said this guy can shoot it, so it's good to see the shot falling. And he said the more he shoots, the more he makes, the more he'll feel like shooting it. And it sounds like Painter doesn't have any qualms about allowing him to shoot it because what he's seen in practice, which is really good. Some other guys, you look at the rest of the lineup. Of course, Edey, we said he was averaging 11.3 points a game. I think Edey is going to continue to get better and better. I love the fact that he's got Brandon Brantley teaching him how to do it because we have so many examples of how good Brantley is at creating big men, making them better than they were when they came in. And he's pretty damn good right out of the chute. Ivy, we talked about him. Wheeler is the guy that I think has been most frustrating for me to watch this year.
Yeah, his missed threes.
Yeah, that's really tough because, every game he's getting open looks too, and they're not falling. The thing I loved, I can't remember which game, it was the second or third game of the season where he had 2 or 3 block shots, and when he was going after the boards, he's got great
I think
length.
he's had at least 2 blocks in multiple games this season.
Yeah, yep. And if he'll kind of dedicate himself to that part of the game, I think he could be a really, really tough guy to keep off the court,
Yep.
If he could kind of fashion his the way he's thinking after Gillis, right? Okay, I'm going to be in the lane. I'm going to attack the glass. I'm going to defend guys, and then maybe every now and again shoot a 3 versus looking to shoot the 3 or 4 times a game. I'm not saying he shouldn't shoot it. I'm just saying, man, he's not the shooter that we thought he'd be or that he thought he'd be at this point of his career. Isaiah Thompson has been good, but his size creates some problems for him. It's not just his lack of height. It's his lack of width too, right? PJ was a stronger guy.
Listed at 6'1", 160, very thin.
He's very thin.
Yeah.
He's very thin. And finally, Ethan Morton, who
lightest player on this team. Yeah,
Ethan Morton is got great length. He's a good ball handler, but there's just so many minutes. When Eric Hunter's playing like he did last game, like I said on Twitter, there's just so many minutes. And I think Morton is not getting punished or anything like that. I think he might be taught a lesson by Painter, but I'm not so sure that this is a bad thing for him. If you guys don't believe that Ethan Morton's great, you either haven't watched his high school film or just haven't been paying attention because he's shown a little bit of it at times.
Yeah. What happened in a state championship game at the end of the game?
Well, he was the guy that takes the shot, right? And he's a winner.
Yeah.
He's a winner, and he did it over and over his senior year. I'm not saying it always translates from high school to college, but that guy looks for shots. He wants to take the shots. That same mentality we were talking about with Newman, Morton has it. But he is still coming off of mono. This I don't think that can be discounted. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I really like Ethan Morton. I'm a big fan of his. I think he can be great. You have any other thoughts before we close out?
Nope.
Okay.
I think you should look at chat to see if anyone said anything.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's see if we got any questions here over on Twitter. I think we got a couple here. Purdue's conference record prediction. How many more flagrant ones does Edey get the rest of the way? I got to tell you, I can't make an educated call on their conference record. My gut says they're going to be, just because I have to go through and look at it. I'm sorry, Chris. It was Chris Manfred, quite the Manfred, the Twitter handle. But if I were going to make a kind of a prediction at where I think they're going to be based on how they're playing now, I think they're edging up into they're playing like a team that could be 4th to 6th in the league right now.
I was going to say 5th. So,
And I think that's a pretty good place to be for this team. I think they're going to have some pretty low points this year where they'll just play poorly. But I also think they're going to have very, very good games where they'll blow the doors off teams.
Yeah, we got to have the freshmen play well because if they don't play well, similar to that Valpo game where they won by a little bit, it won't go very well.
No doubt. I think the freshmen are extremely important. I called Gillis the straw that stirs the drink for this Purdue team, and he's one of those freshmen. When he's not playing well, they're in big trouble because he does those things that are kind of the things that don't matter. If you're not scoring, if you're cold, you can still grind out on people and really go get the hard boards and make great defensive plays. I think we had another question in here. This is from J-Dog and Indy. Do you think the AD is concerned about putting all the money into Jeff Brom's extension, or is there a chance that the team can set things back into motion with him as coach? You can give your first answer.
I gotta think so.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I think. Okay. I am not ready to give up on Jeff Brom, but I can tell you that I had your uncle said that the leverage has definitely shifted.
Yeah.
Brom had a ton of leverage 2 years ago when Louisville and then Tennessee, then Louisville came calling. Obviously, it looked like Brom was one of the hottest coaches. And let's remember, that's after 2 6-win conference seasons with Darrell Hazel's guys. Yep. So now with his guys installed, and I am very aware of the situation. I know a lot of people on Twitter think I'm too sunshiny and happy. I'm very aware that this was not a good season. This is a very, very bad, very disappointing season. So I don't know if there's any regret at this point. A lot of people look at that question: Does Babinski regret signing the way he did? I don't think he does. I don't think he works that way. I think he thought it was a good decision, and Brom's a good coach. I think he is bothered and upset that they played this way this year. And they said Brom and Babinski had a long meeting and talked about there needs to be action taken to redirect the program and get them back to where they need to be. And I would say, I don't think Coach gives a damn about what I think, but I would say if I were Jeff Brom, I would look back at what made me great and why I'm in the position I am right now, meaning the play calling, the kind of fun nature of football. It seems to me that he thought that since he had better talent, a better baseline in there with his guys, that he could now kind of change the identity of the program and become more of a team that could beat teams defensively, slow the game down, not have defense keep getting on because the offense is scoring so quickly. But that's really not what defines him as a coach.
Yeah.
So, that's a good question. But one other thing, and I know you said you didn't really want to speak about this, but I'd like to address the defensive coordinator situation. Everybody talks about who they'd like to see. I mean, if I had an ideal and I could if I could get anybody that I wanted to, it would obviously be Marcus Freeman, who was a Purdue coordinator. Oh, there's
that's what I was saying.
There we go. Our pal Jared said audio is working. Jared, thanks for tuning in. What's this? Oh,
two questions. So
okay, shoot. Go ahead. You can read them off.
So, Vortec 4253 says, "Do you think Morton is still recovering from mono?" Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Mono's really, really tough. So I don't know anything about who you are, Vortec 4253. But if you remember, Dakota Mathias had mono, and it took him a while to get right. And he had it about the same position before the season. He was I don't want to say weak, but he was depleted for a long time trying to catch up physically. So that's a good question, but I definitely think that's still affecting him. Okay, good question. Jared Gallama asks, looking at the rest of the year, who gets more minutes, Ivy or Thompson for the rest of the year? I think there's a fairly obvious answer. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that Ivy should get more minutes for the rest of the year because he looks good.
Yeah. I think the big thing is when Thompson's really playing well, it's predicated on his 3-point shot, right? He hasn't been shooting really well the last couple games.
He's in kind of a slump.
He's in a bit of a slump, and he's in almost an invisibility slump, meaning I don't notice him in the game very much, which is better than when we had a game. I can't remember who it was. Was it the Clemson game where he kept getting ripped when they were pressuring him?
Yeah, I think so.
And that was kind of dealing with his physicality and him dealing with pressure. It was tough. But I just think Ivy is more of a Big Ten type body. But I really think those two guys, they're not going to take minutes from one another. I don't think Ivy's going to run the point. In fact, I'm pretty sure. So really, Newman and Ivy are kind of filling a similar role.
Yep.
And that's a tough place for Ivy to be in because Newman has absolutely earned the playing time. I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah.
So I think that's all on the questions, Twitter and YouTube. We appreciate it. Thanks for everybody tuning in and asking the questions. I kind of cut myself off regarding the defensive coordinator. I don't think anybody knows. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Golden Black had a different list than I did when I got on Twitter right after it was announced that there was a firing. I still, and this is the first time, I think it's the first time I've said it really publicly and outright, I still would love to see Brock Speck getting the phone call.
Yeah.
I said it a lot. I've joked around and on Twitter, and he would get double his compensation from his Illinois State job. But the question is, does he still have any ill will towards Purdue? Everybody asks that question. I think that goes back to Morgan Burke. Rest in peace, Morgan. But the big thing is, I think that I don't think he has the ill will towards Purdue. But I don't know if I were he, if I'd want to play poker with the good thing I've got at Illinois State either for who knows how long a defensive
Because
coordinator.
you're a legend there.
Yeah, they went to the Final 8 or Final 4 in Division 1 AA, or I don't know what it's called. What's it called? The championship subdivision?
Yeah.
I can't ever remember the name.
I don't remember, but I think it's FCS, right?
FCS, yeah. And I don't think he'd come to Purdue. That's my point.
Yeah.
What is that?
Who's your freshman of the year?
Freshman of the year right now, shoot.
For football.
For football?
Yeah, for football.
I don't know. I gotta. That's a hard question. You have any answers there?
I don't know, because most of the impact players were.
Yeah, it's a weird year, Jared, because Purdue didn't really have that freshman that jumped off the page this year.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if you're saying true freshmen, they had a couple offensive linemen that actually got on the field. So Hartwig, is that Gus Hartwig?
Yeah, Gus Hartwig.
I would probably say he's probably my freshman. If you're saying true freshman, that's my guy. But I don't know. It's a tougher year. Obviously, there's no David Bell or Rondell Moore on this team, and those guys are really easy. It's easy to make that decision. So, I can't look into the future, Jared. So I can't make a call for next year. But
what about just impact players from this recruiting class you see?
From the one that's coming in right now, that's a good question. I think that, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, Mabo. Marcus Mabau.
Yeah, Mabau.
I think he's going to play right away. I think the offensive line needs another big body. He's 306 pounds, 310 pounds. He's big. He's 6'6", 6'7".
If you haven't looked at his basketball highlights on Twitter, I
highly suggest it. It's very entertaining to see a guy that big coming at you. It'd be terrifying. I also think, of course, Yanni Karloftis will be an impact player. I don't think he'll be more impactful than Mabau. And who's the defensive back from Louisiana? I also think he can. Grigsby. Javon Grigsby. So they're my three candidates that I think could make an impact right away. And I think there's need in all those places because, I don't think we're done shuffling personnel either. That's the other thing. I think there might be another transfer. I think there's going to be multiple transfers coming in, and we're going to know that soon. So I think everybody should stay tuned and not make any judgment calls yet on what's happening with recruiting and fulfilling of the roster because a lot of changes are coming. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. Like I said, 2 or 3 or 10 times tonight as I try. And Merry Christmas to you. God bless you. Hammer down. And once again, thanks for being patient with us as we figured this out. We might do this again. Who knows?
Yep. Mom, thanks for watching.